Alright guys, driving review of the 2010 V6 Camaro with a manual transmission. So we're starting off from this random neighborhood now. I just sat there for about 10 minutes putting this camera together, so all the neighbors probably think I'm really weird. And that's okay. This car is not exactly stealthy, considering it is a giant orange Camaro. But you don't buy a giant orange Camaro to be stealthy, do you? So we'll start off with how it drives. You can see this is a bumpier road. Takes it like a champ. For a sports car, it rides very nicely. Handles very well. We're in 4th gear right now, and I guess that's my biggest problem with how this car drives is the transmission feel and then just the gear spacing. It's unnatural for me. I'm sure if you got more used to driving this car, then you might like it more. But I drive so many different manual cars, it's kind of tricky for me to get used to one. I'm sitting at this intersection here waiting for traffic to clear. There we go. Take off here. We'll do a little 1st gear punch. See what the big girl's got. That was kind of weird. I think I missed 3rd. I think I was in neutral there. But I think it got the point across. This car moves pretty good when you hit 3rd gear. If it's in neutral, doesn't move so good. Lesson learned. Don't shift like an idiot like I do. Rev matching's pretty good. I've never been a big fan of electronic throttles, but it seems that this one's calibrated all right. Seems like your throttle feel is fairly natural. Although I would still prefer a old school cable throttle, but that's just me. As you can see, I think we're taking these corners a little bit better than that S10 is. As you can see, it's got some body rolls bouncing around. Us, not so much. We're handling it just fine. So, if you're looking at buying a 5th gen Camaro, rest assured it handles better than a 40-year-old S10 with 500,000 miles on it. Coming to this intersection here, you can sell our test driving route is not very good. Very busy today. Overpopulation at its finest. Well, yeah, brakes on this thing feel pretty good. It's got a lot of punch in 1st gear, so you can pull out in front of F-150s and not get T-boned. That's always helpful. But we'll get on to this more open road here. This engine really wakes up. It's one of those engines you gotta rev it. Even if it feels unnatural, you gotta rev it. Because it really feels unnatural for me to rev an engine out like that, but that's what this engine wants. It wants to rev, and it wants to rev now. Just like that. But yeah, that's what I would say. This car just has more of a learning curve, at least for me. This takes some getting used to, but once you're used to it, it really is a pleasant car. Steering, fantastic. It's got a very nice steering ratio. It's pretty quick ratio on the steering. Steering's very precise as well. It transmits a decent amount of feel. You can really kind of feel where the car going, feel where the car wants to go. Pretty nice. Got a bunch of leaves in the road. It is fall in Michigan. What more can you want? This car is really kind of camouflaged right now because it blends in with all the trees because it's bright orange, It's pretty epic. But yeah, we're in 6th gear at 52 miles an hour at, I don't know, about 1500 RPM, and it's got plenty of torque to keep you moving. And I think it's just the variable valve timing on this engine seems to be calibrated. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say well, because it feels quite unnatural, but I guess I would call it functional. Now we gotta slow down, which is lame. Seems that my tire pressure is off. Well, that's kind of lame, isn't it? I'm down to 30. Oh my god, dude. I don't know how we're gonna make it home. I'll have to call AAA. Yeah, we'll turn around here. I'm not messing with that. Not messing with that 25-mile-an-hour speed limit anymore. I'm done with that. But yeah, I think one of these would make a fantastic track car, because it is a little heavy. It's about 3,800 pounds, but I think they just handle so good, and the track on them's pretty wide. These are pretty wide cars, and I think that's what helps them handle so good. A little bit of rev hang, and by little I mean a lot. This car does like the rev hang, especially in first, but sometimes even in second. It's got some rev hang to it that I'm not a fan of. But I guess that's just how modern manuals are. It's really a shame. See, it's hard for me to get that 1-2 shift nice and smooth. Maybe it's just because I drive like an idiot, but I am an idiot, so it works out. Like I said, you know, 5th gear, I only really find myself using 5th gear at like 35 or 40 miles an hour. Anything over 43, 44, you can go into 6th just fine. But yeah, so 5th doesn't really get used a lot. I would say on the highway, I think 6th gear is it's pretty well matched, because you're doing about 2 grand at 70, and the engine seems to be pretty happy right about there. But yeah, that's my review of the 5th gen Camaro. Handles awesome. Powertrain is, I would say, not a match made in heaven, but it works. Very quiet in here for a sports car. It seems to be pretty refined, actually. The tire pressure sensors, well, you know, they work. They like to come on at, you know, 30 psi and tell you that your tire's, you know, half a psi low. The 5th gen's very good at evading cyclists, as we just demonstrated, which comes in handy, you know. As irritating a cyclist can be, you don't necessarily want to run them over. You got to do a lot of paperwork. And who likes paperwork? Not me. Well, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That's my driving review of the 5th gen Camaro.